Well, it's been a crappy week, to say the least. All started March 11th, um, when a lot happened. A lot has happened the past 3 days in terms of the world and going crazy and stuff. So I'm going to start with the NASCAR news, and then I'm going to get into some world talk and personal talk and just try and make sense of everything. As many sports were canceling, or not canceling, but suspending their series and their seasons for the time being. NBA started, NHL followed. Basically, every sport that was playing: PGA, MLS, F1, WEC, IMSA, all these sports and motorsports were suspending their seasons for the time being because of the coronavirus, COVID-19, and it just for the sake of fans and everyone's timing, and whether it be due to travel restrictions, travel bans, you name it. It's just kind of like sports and series and stuff were taking action, suspending their seasons. NASCAR and IndyCar decided they would go ahead with their seasons and race the races that were supposed to be this weekend. NASCAR Atlanta, and then St. Petersburg for IndyCar, St. Pete. Um, they were going to be held without fans at the track, so there was going to be no fans. There was going to be essential people, so NASCAR officials that were needed, spotters, and any crew members and the drivers. That was basically all it was going to be, and some media members, but they couldn't do in-person interviews. It was going to be like strictly like teleconference and stuff like that. So it was going to be like whole different scenario than what we were used to. It was going to be crazy. Um, so that news was made. I was like, okay, I assume that's going to work for Atlanta, but I'm pretty sure like after Atlanta, there's probably no way Homestead was going to be able to go on. Homestead had announced that the race would have been postponed if NASCAR wanted a full crowd there. NASCAR then said we'd just go ahead without a crowd, and Homestead was like, okay, we'll stay then. Um, but I it, I think it's just too risky. NASCAR figured, and they were getting teams to the track, and then they made a schedule change. Just out of the blue, schedule change, kind of out of nowhere, last minute too. And it was not just any ordinary schedule change. We're like, oh, we're just getting rid of this or moving this around. It was a wholesale schedule change for the Atlanta weekend. Um, the original thing was supposed to be some practices today. And then tomorrow would have like practices and qualifying, and then it would be the truck race at like 1:30, the Xfinity race at like 4 p.m., and then the Cup race Sunday at 2. What ended up happening, what was supposed to happen was they were going to have truck qualifying today, the truck race tonight at like 7, so that was going to move a whole day up. And then on Saturday, we were supposed to have Xfinity and Cup qualifying, the Cup race at 2 and the Xfinity race at 7 p.m. Obviously, that didn't pan out because now the races are postponed to later in the season. Um, but it was going to be to condense the weekend schedule, I guess. Not only that, but there was going to be zero practices, so it was just going to be a qualifying race. It was going to be as quickly done as possible, so that teams could get out of there. I assume that they were like, there's something big happening here, and they have to get out immediately, which ended up not happening. They're out of there immediately, but in a different way. NASCAR has postponed the races at Atlanta and Homestead to a later date on the schedule. What date that will be, no one really knows yet, but it's going to be later on in the season for sure. Other races that are going to be at risk of getting postponed: Texas and Bristol for sure. Texas being the last race of March, and Bristol being the first race and the last race before Easter break. So we'll have a week off of Easter, and then we'll go back to like Richmond and Talladega and stuff, and then we'll see if everything plays out right there. So the question is, where can Atlanta and Homestead go in terms of the schedule? There's not many off weeks in NASCAR. NASCAR gets like 3 off weeks a season: Easter break, and then 2 on NBC at some point, right? So obviously the only off week for NASCAR on Fox is Easter. So would they want to run a race the Saturday of Easter? I don't really think so. I think that's completely out of just I don't think that should be brought up. I don't think that's ever going to happen. What I think will happen is that there is a 2 week break for NASCAR Cup Series racing, that is, in terms of when NBC is there. Now that's the big thing. I believe Xfinity is still racing during that portion. Maybe trucks are as well. The reason for this 2 week break in Cup is the Olympics. NBC has the summer portion of the NASCAR schedule. They also NBC does everything in terms of the Olympics, which is the summer this year. I think that Fox is going to want to do the races there. So what might happen is we're going to start the NBC season. They'll go on that 2 week break, and then we'll go back to Fox for 2 weeks, and then we'll go back to NBC after that. So that's a possibility, And a lot of people are saying, "Oh, Homestead and Atlanta could be the finale races now," because they'll just add them to the end of the schedule. While it would be cool to see Homestead or Atlanta be the finale, because I feel like there'd be some good tracks to host the finale, I have my doubts about that because you kind of look the last time a track was scheduled, um, the last time a track and a race got bumped to the last race of the season was 2001 after the 9/11 terrorist attacks. That was New Hampshire, right? And they ran it. I think they ran it the Friday before Thanksgiving. I'm pretty sure they ran it like on Black Friday. Um, and here's the thing, right? 2001. Back then, the championship race didn't really mean much. I'm going to be honest. It wasn't like it was anything different than an ordinary race. It was just another race, and a champion will be crowned. In fact, I believe Jeff Gordon already won the championship at that point, so he was already crowned at like Rockingham. I'm pretty sure. I guess technically he was crowned at Atlanta because Atlanta was the second to last race. But in this day and age, right, with the NASCAR playoff system, hosting that final race and races in the playoffs are so crucial to where it's just like that's a big deal that you have that race. Phoenix is going to make a lot of money based off that, right? I don't think they can add anything after Phoenix unless they make an exhibition. I really don't think so. Because not only would it be unfair to Phoenix, but all the people who have bought tickets already to go to Phoenix because it's the championship race, right? I don't think it would be necessarily fair to change it like that. Only because of the format they have now. If it was still a 36 race strict points format where nothing got reset and it was just kind of go out there and win the championship, be the best of 36 races, then I would say they can add them on to the end of the season. But since it's a playoffs and the last race means everything, like more than ever before the last race means everything, I don't think they can add anything to the end of the schedule. They're going to have to add it at some point in the middle. So now, assuming that maybe that portion that NBC has off, maybe that's off. Maybe that's not an option, right? Maybe because there's an Xfinity race somewhere else or something. So what else could they do then? Because they said they're postponed, they're not canceled. So the race is still going to take place at Atlanta and Homestead, but where is it going to take place? And when? Because once again, 3 off weeks. Another thing they could do is possibly run it during a midweek race, right? So if they can't fit in anywhere else, I'm trying to look at schedules right now and see what maybe they could do because um I think that Xfinity is off during the time Cup is off. Let me just take a quick gander at this. I'm gonna look right now and see when Cup's off. It's the end of July, right? Um, it's yeah they have July off. They have obviously they have they have the last weekend of July and the first weekend of August off. The Cup do. Um, Xfinity has just the August weekend. Then they go to Iowa. So they can run one race there, but then Xfinity has to go to Iowa, right? And do the trucks run at all? I know they have huge gaps in their things. So unless like Eldora's during that time, which is possible. Yeah, Eldora's during that time. So then trucks could only run then I guess that's a Thursday though, but I don't know if they would want the truck teams to be traveling like that. So there's a lot that is gonna have to come into play. Maybe they split it up and they go to like a truck race in off weekend, the Xfinity race when they have an off weekend, then they go to Cup during those two breaks or something. I don't know. They might have to break it up. I honestly don't know if they can keep it together unless they make it a midweek race. If they make it midweek races, then they could do it. But I don't know if they could do the whole thing on a midweek race. I don't know if they could do 3 midweek races. That's the problem. So I think they're gonna have to split up. Honestly, looking at that now, I think they're gonna have to split up. I think the Cup races can go back to back in that slot, but I have to think that maybe they can run Xfinity and Cup in that last week at Atlanta, last week of July. Then they might have to split up. Maybe Homestead for Cup at the on that second break, and then Homestead for Xfinity somewhere in their break, and then Atlanta and Homestead trucks at some break. It's gonna be crazy to figure out, I'm sure, and it's gonna be. We'll see how it works out. Obviously, that's not the biggest problem right now. The biggest problem is everyone's health and safety, which I think NASCAR did a great job just being like, okay, I think it's time to pull the plug. Literally everyone except for IndyCar has done something about this, so we have to do something. So props to NASCAR for trying to give it a go. They didn't really knee-jerk reaction it, but they still, kept tabs on what was happening. Then they said, okay, the president's gonna issue a state of emergency. It's gonna be like a crisis type thing. So maybe we should just kind of not go with this and just end it now. And on that note, I want to address in terms of not just sports, but just the world in general and my feelings about COVID-19. Um, Here's the deal, right? First started, and I was like, oh, that's bad. But, like, you know, from what I was hearing, it's just a flu with some added, things to it. It's a little bit worse flu. So I was like, okay, that's bad. Obviously, it's hurting the elderly and hurting people with bad immune systems and the young ones, right? But as long as we keep it away from them, I'll be fine. I'm young. My immune system's good. I'm not worried about myself. Here's the thing, right? People turn into a huge panic where they're like, we're all going to die. Or the media's like, oh my God, get indoors, help everyone. Or, there's so much stuff happening. Running out of toilet paper at stores. Why are they running out of toilet paper? No one ever said that the virus causes stuff like that to happen, right? The virus is just a flu with some added symptoms to it, which makes it worse than the flu. But never said anything about, like, needing a lot of toilet paper. There's nothing in there that would say that. People are buying in bulk. So I'm running out of toilet paper, running out of water, stuff like that. People are fighting in supermarkets and stores to get water and toilet paper. It's ridiculous, right? Everyone's in a panic. And that's where I say, okay, listen. There's a point to where you have to be just alert, right? I don't even want to call this a panic. I'm not even gonna. I'm not far enough ahead to see that this is a panic. Okay, I'm calling this a thing where you have to be alert and aware of what's happening, right? And then if more people start dying, it gets uncontrollable, and we can't find a vaccine, then maybe you can start panicking. But nothing like we're doing now. We're acting like the world is gonna end now. It's not gonna end. Not everyone is gonna die, right? It's it's affecting the elder. It's affecting some people, obviously, that stuff like that. We've seen what's happened in other countries, China and Italy and stuff like that. They're in lockdown and it's being horrible. Italy is a mess right now, right? But so I props to everyone who has tried to take steps in order to make sure that doesn't happen, like the sporting events. People are like, well, why are the sporting events shutting down? If they just have no one in the stands, who cares? They're not going to be affected by it anyway. They have good immune systems. They're young enough. Well, here's the deal, right? People who have had it, they haven't even known they've had it. It can come into them, and then they can be feeling fine. The next day, they're like, oh my God, I feel like, I don't really feel terrible. I just feel a little sick. And then they go in there, you have corona, and then you don't even know, So why are they canceling stuff like this? It's because they kind of have to, right? It might, so say like I'm an athlete, right? And I'm there and I have the coronavirus. Not only am I going to be playing, say I'm playing basketball, and I'm going to be with my teammates, I'm going to be holding the ball at some points, I'm going to be touching other players, right? I'm going to be all over other players trying to guard them or whatever, and then they're going to get it. Anyone who touches the ball is probably going to get it. If you're near me, you're going to get it, which is terrible. So they have to do that, obviously. And then you transfer it to everyone else. You may still say, okay, well, the players still, once again, they're still players. They're not going to die from it. Well, here's the thing. They come in contact with other people. Everyone they come in contact with is going to get it, or at least be be immune to it. So then, they go and see their grandparents. They go and see their kid. Someone with a bad immune system goes and sees them. And then it just keeps spreading and spreading and spreading. You can't slow it down. So the fact that we're trying right now to minimize group gatherings and stuff like that, great call. You know, just stop stuff while we're ahead. Just kind of try and control it now before it gets out of hand. Because it's been spreading fast. There's probably still thousands of cases, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of cases that we don't know about yet because people are still waiting to get tested. Um, So I'm not saying it's the end of the world. I'm not saying it's terrible. I'm saying it's something you should be alert about, something you should be aware about, and don't get too crazy over it because that's not that's going to cause more panic. On top of maybe some people that are already panicked because of the virus, and then you're going to panic them more. That's not what we need to do. You just have to stay calm. It's not going to kill everyone. We're going to be all right. Some people are dying. Well, I'm not saying some people are dying. That's happening. That's accurate. It's happening. Um, and the best way to stop the spread of that and keeping more people from dying is to stop all these group events. So props to all the sports that made the decisions to put health before money and go ahead and suspend their seasons for now. So that's an update. If you ever want any entertainment, because sports are probably gonna be off for at least a week or two, or maybe even three. And I know a lot of schools are closing or going online, so you're probably gonna have a lot more time. Obviously, my series are still here: Trucks, Target, and Cup. I'm gonna be running throughout all this. So if you need entertainment, I'll still be uploading. So, um, that's how it's gonna go. Thanks everyone for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy. I'll see you guys for the next video.